Now, in a bid to enhance energy connectivity and address power disruptions in the Southern African region, members of the Southern Africa Power Pool have launched a 24.8 billion rand energy transmission facility. Now, the Regional Transmission Infrastructure Finance Facility initiative aims to prioritize grid projects connecting unconnected members and promoting cross-border electricity trading. Joining us to provide further insights is energy writer for the Business Day, Denene Erasmus. Denene, an absolute pleasure. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Denene, maybe you can start off by just helping us understand the Southern African Power Pool, the members, the people involved, the countries involved, but also how we got here. It does sound like something that has been in the works for over a long period of time.
So the Southern African Power Pool, it includes 12 of the member states of the Southern African Development Community, and the countries are members through in most cases, through publicly owned utilities. Like, for example, in South Africa, our membership is through Eskom, but there are also a few private companies that are members that provide utility scale electricity in some of these other Southern African countries. And I think this is sort of, just as an introduction, it's a very exciting development because we are all very well aware of the power problems and the electricity crisis we face in South Africa, but up north and some of our neighbors and a bit further north, there's still millions of people that lack access to electricity, that have no connection at all. So there's really, in the region, there's a lot of opportunity for energy development. And then as other countries start developing their energy sectors, there's, for example, there's a lot of potential for wind and solar power in many of the countries, like Namibia, and then a bit further to the north, there's a lot of exciting development opportunities in hydropower, where we can start seeing greater energy sharing initiatives and trading initiatives between countries, where at the moment South Africa is a net exporter of power. We could very well in the future see South Africa becoming a net importer, getting electricity from countries that are investing quite rapidly in their own sectors.
So let's talk about this next development, Denene, and exactly what it looks like. It does sound like a financing facility of sorts. So let's also talk about that, because financing comes with, ratings and money and all sorts of other, complex dynamics.
Yes, so the fund that has been launched, it's called the Regional Transmission Infrastructure Finance Facility. And the Southern African Power Pool and SADC has appointed climate fund managers to manage this facility. Climate fund managers already manages some very successful climate change development funds. So this is something that they do have experience in. And the fund is starting now with a $20 million sort of a seed money that has come from the partners, the countries that are part of the Southern African Power Pool. And then they hope to get to an amount of about 25 billion rand within the next 2 years. So they are hoping to raise about $500 million in the next 12 months. And then after that, they hope to bring this fund up to $1.3 billion. That will be within the next 2 years. The facility will have a fund life of 20 to 25 years. And there's already been projects that have been identified that will be some of the first ones to benefit from funding through this facility.
And then let's talk also then about what the priorities here. We know that, of course, it does sound like transmission will be at the top of it all. But of course, I think generation always are still important. And then maybe another question that, Denene, I'll just piggyback off that one is who to prioritize at what pace? How do we know that as the money comes in and as the power can be moved along, how, what does that plan look like?
Again, I think we can look to South Africa as an example, and you're absolutely right. To invest in generation is equally important, but I think up to now, not only in South Africa, but in many of these other Southern African countries, the focus has been almost solely on generation, which has brought us to this point where we can see in South Africa now we are starting to experience a situation where we are struggling to grow generation because we don't have enough transmission infrastructure. So it is a very positive move to see this focus shifting to transmission, which really is an enabler of growing the generation of electricity. The initial focus when we look at the projects is going to really be on those countries that do not yet have any form of interconnectors linking them to other countries in the power pool. For example, Angola, that does not have any interconnectors through Namibia, for example. So the interconnectors being the infrastructure that links the power, the grid of one country to another country. So that's really where the focus will initially be. But later on, the fund is also open to consider proposals for in-country projects, which would typically be in South Africa, where we need to rapidly build a massive amount of transmission infrastructure. We're talking about 13,000 to 14,000 kilometers of transmission lines that have to be built within this decade before 2030. And I mean, if there's a good case to be made for investing in that transmission infrastructure, also benefiting other countries in the Southern African power pool, then that is potentially the type of project that the facility will also be able to finance, perhaps later on once the urgent projects have been financed.
And then before I let you go, I think a big thing that always comes up when we're speaking about regional integration, is the issue of domestic priorities versus this, cross-border regional integration. I'm wondering if that's come up at all. If this is at all a concern from any of the countries that could be involved, even here at home in South Africa, with many might thinking that we should be focusing on our own load shedding issue and holding back on, any sort of integration at this point.
No, absolutely, but I think this is where this facility is, while it focuses on these regional projects and connecting grids between countries to really make the power pool stronger. These interconnectors between countries and having a stronger regional power network really does benefit our domestic needs as well. And as I said, we might very well come to a situation in the not too distant future where South Africa is able to import clean energy from renewables, from new hydro developments in other Southern African countries. So while this is focused on regional development, it very much will also benefit each country's own needs in terms of energy.
Fantastic, Denene. A pleasure, joy of having you join us this afternoon. And keep well, and we'll catch up again soon. That was the energy writer for the Business Day, Denene Erasmus.